It's now about 6 years ago when I first made this trip to Italy. And it was kind of funny, I found these old video clips I made on a cheap DSLR camera, so I thought I just want to share that with you so you can see how beautiful this place is. And the first thing that comes to my mind is, why am I living in this cold, dark place in the Nordic when we have these beautiful places in the world? Okay, the Nordic is also beautiful, but I kind of miss to escape the cold, long winters. This is a city full of history and culture. This is Rome. Except this one. This is from the Vatican. I'm just gonna let the scenes speak their own language. I need to admit, this place can kind of be a bit overwhelming. Before coming here, I did some reading up, but to be honest, a lot of it had gone out of the window, and most of the time I didn't have any idea what I was looking at, because I was basically surrounded by a lot of ruins, with no real information about them at the site. So if I would do this again, I recommend that you get a private guide that can explain what happened here, and basically what you're looking at. So yeah, that was kind of a bummer. I think I'm probably the worst tour guide ever. Well, I can say this, I went to some of the biggest landmarks like the Colosseum, where they held the gladiator games. Thankfully, they were not still in use. The Pantheon, the Spanish Steps, the Vatican, and there's many other places. And you will see some glimpses of this, like here, inside the Pantheon. Oh yes, and here we are at the Medici family's villa, a name that you probably have heard before. The Medicis, which is supposed to have been one of the richest family dynasties in the world. And this place was home to one of the popes, which also was a title that one of the Medici family members occupied. Originally, the Medicis' rise to their power came through their money-lending operations, which is supposed to have been the equivalent to today's banking system. We actually had a private guide that showed us into some of the rooms or private chapels of the former Medici Pope, and there was a lot of speculation because there wasn't really any Christian symbols depicted in that room. Instead, it was a lot of other religions that was represented there, and figures from other folklore stories and that kind of stuff. So today many believe that maybe he wasn't really believing in the Christian religion at all. Maybe this was just a way to keep power and control for the Medici family. Kind of an interesting anecdote to today's world, what might be happening around the world in some places. I think it might also be important to mention, since the Roman Empire was one of the biggest empires in the world, and it was a brutal one, which recruited people from all walks of life in order to make mercenaries of them. Because the Roman Empire wanted to protect their vastly conquered land, even though they took the lands with brutal force. And it's kind of interesting when thinking how Rome back in the days they structured their political systems. Sometimes it reminded a bit of democracy, but it more and more turned into a dictatorial regime. I think we can learn something from the Roman Empire. And maybe the greatest lesson of all is what we shouldn't do. People are tired of decades long of bad politics, and they feel powerless because they have elected people who they don't really know who they are, who seem to lie about what they're going to do, and almost nothing changes. And the economy is still in a big mess. And now they want the older people to fix the mess that they have created by postponing the time for retirement for ordinary citizens, by increasing the age when they can retire. People don't really have any insight what the politicians are doing, and they have a hard time firing the people they elected in the first place. This doesn't seem so democratic, does it? And maybe now, when we have technologies like the internet, maybe we could have a electronic voting system where every citizen could be their own politician and take matters in their own hands and vote on issues, which direction we should go with different decisions, without having the need for party politics. Honestly, I start to wonder, maybe we don't need politicians anymore. We could do this ourselves with the help of technology. Why give away power when it doesn't seem to work? Our political systems are old. We need something new. And I'm kind of surprised that almost nobody, especially the mainstream media, is not talking about this at all. And maybe it's no coincidence, because those in power probably want to stay in power. So this would be kind of an existential threat. But looking at the world, with so many wars going on, chaos that we see in the world today, with different conflicts going on, poverty, inequality, you name it, you kind of start to wonder, how much is this due to our political system's fault? Not to mention our economical systems. Maybe the time is now for real change. Even though some countries call themselves as being proudly democratic, they don't really seem so democratically functional, if you know what I mean. They seem to be in a big problem, creating mess after mess, each electoral year after another. It seems like it's mostly the rich, the elite, that is winning on this chaos. In other words, our democratical systems seem to have become tyrannical, and I would want to pledge that that is happening in my home country too, in Finland, where companies have more and more influence over the normal lives of ordinary citizens, where companies have big influence over the society and the politics and the politicians. Maybe we don't need this political system. Maybe we need something else. Maybe our political systems need some kind of a revolution. Maybe we don't need politicians anymore. I'm not talking about a dictatorship either. The question rather becomes, how well can the people govern the affairs of the state for the collective self-interest, which could basically discard the party politics as we know it? Maybe it has never been tried in this new era of technology, where we should have all the possibilities to vote on decisions with our fingertips. Maybe we are witnessing something like the fall of the Roman Empire in modern times.